You cannot always outsmart somebody. You can't. You can't win a rational argument with somebody that doesn't care about logic. You can't. You can't. You can't have a really intellectual conversation where you walk away feeling good about it with somebody that thinks Donald Trump is a Christian. Oh, well, you're a silly goose. If you can't outsmart them, what do you gotta do? You gotta outdumb them. Try it. Fucking works. When they say some dumb shit, be like, what's the dumbest thing I could say right now? And watch their brain explode, you know? I was getting tires put on my monster truck the other day. Because I'm an alpha male, and this guy sat down beside me in the waiting room, and Fox News was on the TV. They were being all fair and balanced, and this dude sat down right beside me. No, they were talking about abortion on Fox News. This dude sits right beside me in the waiting room, because he looks at me and he's like, "You're on my team," and I'm like, "No, I'm not." And I have earphones on, you know? I'm wearing earphones. It's the international symbol for don't fucking talk to me. Right? And I'm drinking energy drinks, listening to true crime, trying to figure out why I'm in a grumpy mood, you know? I'm like, maybe it's the stimulants and the murder. Who knows? And he nudges me and he goes, "Abortion's a real shame, ain't it?" And I just went. And in my mind, I was like, you gotta outdumb him. So I put my voice on. I looked him in the eye and said, "Hell yeah, buddy, it sure is. That's why I like gay people so much." And he looked at me like I was there, and there. He was so confused. And he goes, "What?" I was like, "Bro, gay people get less abortions than any other group of people, dude. If you're pro-life, you pretty much gotta be pro-gay as well." It's like a catch-26, you know. He was like, I'll be right back. I gotta make a phone call." The gay thing, it's a particularly exposed nerve for me. First of all, let me say I was raised by amazing human beings that I love very much, who are wonderful people. Who I'm eternally grateful for. But I was raised very, very conservative, very, very religious, you know? And my sister is gay. And so she came out to me when I was 15 years old. And when I say that she came out to me, that's really an exaggeration. I got really drunk for the first time and I coaxed it out of her. I got drunk with my buddy Mike, who's still one of my closest, dearest friends. He's a physician now. He lives in this like 3-story townhome with a rooftop deck and a gas fireplace. He's in Denver, and I live in that van outside. So we're both doing really good. We're about the same, and so. It was the first time I got really drunk. And listen, I want to be clear about something. I had drank before, okay? I had some warm Zimas in the forest while looking at a penthouse that I found behind a shopping center that some dude probably wanked to in his car, you know? But I had never been forget who you are drunk, you know what I'm saying? And we did it, buddy. We went for it. We got some gin from his parents' basement, and we mixed it with cherry 7-Up. And we just got Waffle House drunk, you know what I'm saying? Just scattered, smothered, and shit-faced. It was a lot. And I don't know, Mike's a little bit smaller than me, or maybe he drank more, or maybe I ate more food that day. He wasn't doing as good as I was doing, you know? I was having a blast. Mike was kind of struggling to stay alive. And I don't know if you've ever seen a zombie movie or a zombie show, but the zombies, they drag one foot and they have an arm out in front of them and they go, "Aah." Well, he was doing that, and because he was dying. from alcohol poisoning. And so, this is Saturday night. I'm 15 years old. I got a 10 o'clock curfew. I got to go to church tomorrow. Probably 2 of them, you know? And it was like real close to 10. And I was panicking. And I was like, come on, buddy, we're almost there. And we were like a mile and a half away. And I'm like, come on, dude. Come on, we got this. And he's like, nah. We finally got to the front door of my parents' house, and I had to pin Mike up against the front porch wall with my hand on his sternum, because if I would have moved it, he would no longer be with us, I don't think. He would have fallen and everything would have broken. So I had my hand on his sternum. With my other hand, I opened the door, I looked into the house, and I was like, coast is clear. And I threw him on my shoulder like a rescue carry, and I'm running up the stairs like I'm Forrest Gump and he's Lieutenant Dan, you know what I mean? But he was heavier because he had legs, and so I was like running down the... And that's not an ableist joke, because that's an actor. His name's Gary Sinise. He's fine. His legs are fine. He lives in a castle. So I get to the end of the room, and I throw him down on my Mario Brothers beanbag chair. And I put a towel over him, because I didn't want him to throw up if I got my Mario Brothers beanbag chair. You know what I'm saying? Super cool chair. Still got it. And it's in my van. And so I was like, hey, bro, are you good? Everything good? You feel okay? And he was like, what did he say? He was like, he goes, nah. And I was like, all right, I'll be right back. Don't throw up, you know? And so I go into the bathroom. I'm like, I gotta go talk to my parents, right? So I go to the bathroom, and I'm like splashing water on my face. And I'm like, they're not gonna know. I'm fine. They're not gonna know. I don't even know, you know? I brushed my teeth twice. I was putting in eye drops and shit. I sprayed cologne all over myself, and this was 1995, so it was probably like Joop or some shit. Cool water, you know? Some of y'all just got really nostalgic. Some of y'all are like, ooh, Joop. I have good news for you. If you like Joop, you can get a gallon of that at Ross Dress for Less for $8. You can smell like 1995 for the rest of your life. But I got tight. I was like, I'm good. I smell good. My eyes are good. Brush my teeth twice. Wash my face. I'm good. I'm just gonna go in there. I'm gonna keep it tight. I'm gonna keep it simple, silky smooth, smooth as ice. And I just walked up to the living room, and I went in there so smooth. I was just like, hey, Mom and Dad, you guys watching TV? I also like TV sometimes, probably not tonight. I'll just see you tomorrow. I can't wait to go to church. And I was like, I think that went really well. Really. Felt totally fine about it. And you won't believe this, but about 7 seconds later, when I got into my bedroom, my mom was knocking on the door. And I was like, oh, shit. So I cracked the door, and I'm trying not to look at her or breathe on her. You know? I knew if either of those things happened, I was done. And I was like, hey, Mom, everything's fine in here, just normal and stuff. Can't wait to go to church tomorrow. Mike's just very sleepy. Long day. A lot of studying. And she goes, your sister's on the phone. And I didn't know it, but they had been talking to my sister in the living room when I went in there, and I didn't notice because I was hammered. And so I was like, okay, I'll just talk to you later. So I grabbed the phone, and I go, Jada. And so I should back up. My sister's 11 years older than me because my parents are pro-life. And so thank goodness, I guess, you know. It's good that there's some of you. I was a surprise and mistake. And so she hands me the phone, and I go, Jada, hey. And she goes, Mom and Dad think you're on drugs. And I was like, well, I'm not yet, you know. This time next year for sure. I was like, no, I'm just hammered. And I like can't stop laughing, you know what I mean? I'm just like giggly. You know the first few times you get drunk and it's just euphoric and you're like warm and fuzzy and giggly and you feel so great and you want to tell everybody you love them and it's just the best feeling in the world and you spend the next 30 years trying to recreate it and you can't. Now you're just drunk in a theater on a Thursday. I know you guys. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Oh. I was like, I'm just drunk. She was like, yeah, that's what I figured. I told her that you're just being silly because you're with Mike and you guys are always silly when you're together. And I was like, well, that's true. She's like, I think they believe me. And I was like, well, thank you so much, you know. She saved my ass. She has many times after that. And I was just feeling it. I was like feeling so, my boundaries were, my walls were down, my ego was, you know, I was just so vulnerable and authentic, you know. And I'm trying to use all the white lady words, and I was gonna share my heart space, you know. And I thought perhaps she would open her space, hold space for my space. Subway tile, mid-century modern. Come on, succulents, dream catchers. Monstera, come on. Shiplap, come on, listen, pay attention. He said my words. How'd you like the show? It was okay, he said my words. But I was like, I'm going for it. Now's the time. Because me and my brother had been talking about that we thought that she might be gay because she had a Subaru. And so, it's not the whole thing, okay? It's not all of it. It's a big part of it. But, so I was like, I'm just gonna go for it, you know? And I just was like, I just want you to know I love you, like, no matter what. And she was like, well, I love you no matter what. And I was like, yeah, well, I love you, like, no matter what. She's like, I love you no matter what. I was like, no matter what. I love you no matter what. You know? And after I said it about 80 times, probably around 80, she was like, are we talking about the same thing? And I was like, yeah, Subaru. And she started crying. I started crying. Mike started crying because he was just drunk. And she said, it feels so good for somebody in the family to know. Because nobody knew. You know, nobody in our immediate family, not even any of her closest friends that she grew up with, because they were all part of that same belief system, you know? And they weren't bad people either. They were people of faith who had their faith weaponized against them into bigotry. And it's more the fault of the people that did it to them than it is to them, you know? And it's still happening worse than it ever has. She said it feels so good for somebody to know, even if it is a hammered 15-year-old, you know? And she said, what do you think Wiley's gonna think? That's her other sibling, Wiley. And she said, what do you think Wiley's gonna think? I was like, hey, he knows. We've been talking about it for like a year. We saw your car, and my brother and my sister and myself, we kept that secret for 9 more years. And, you know, I thought we would always keep it a secret. I don't think it ever occurred to me that we wouldn't. And that would have been my vote, to be honest. If, you know, maybe I'm a coward. But I knew that my family would change. And it did, you know? And my parents did not disown her. They did not. I want to be really clear about that. They said, we love you, but this is hard and impossible for us, and we're brokenhearted. And, you know, they did their best in it, but it broke my sister's heart. And it broke my brother's heart, too, because we knew that if it was us, it would be the same way, and that hurt, you know? And, but I was over at her house. We were both living in Asheville, where the gay started, and and she called me over, and she handed me this 2-page letter, and she said, I'm gonna send that to Mom tomorrow. And I begged her not to, because I'm not as brave as she is, you know? And I'm not as strong as she is. And I knew that my family was gonna change. And I didn't want it to. And it was the hardest thing, in obviously in her life and in mine too. But I tell you this, years later, a lot of things happened between these 2 points in time, but years later, my father got brain cancer. We thought it was Alzheimer's or dementia. We weren't sure. We found out way too late that it was a brain tumor. They told us he had 3 to 6 months. He was gone in 15 days. And my sister dropped everything. Her family, her job, her kid, her own health problems. And she came from 6 hours away. And she sat with this dying man all day, every day, until his last day. And she wet his lips, and she wiped him. And she gave him his medicine. And she showed him unconditional love. And that's the most Christ-like thing I've ever seen anybody do in my life. And that's why it's such a bummer that she's going to hell. You know what I mean?